behind is he?
He said 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Well,
He said
we'll have
start
to do
without
it.
him.
We'll have to start without him. This is not. This is something I got to read later. Don't get started yet. These are some notes. It's not a speech. And I'm going to ask some other people to speak. And when I do, you get to take my chair. And hopefully it won't be like the car I loaned someone to drive up here that had maple syrup in it. Not a bottle of open maple syrup in the chair. So anyway.
We'll hold Jack.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good afternoon. I'm Richard Connor. I'm the CEO of the new group that owns the main newspapers in Portland, the Kennebec Journal, Morning Sentinel in Waterville, and Coastal Journal, and a number of other weekly periodical publications, and as you know, all of our online components. We have been working on this deal for actually about 18 months. I have, and the first thing that I want to do, I'd be more than happy, obviously, to take questions from you. I want to introduce some people who will say a few words, and then after that, I'll be more than happy to take your questions. I've assembled some people on either side of me who would be my family members, and they're here for a couple of reasons. Number one, I have really been here more than I've been gone for 18 months, and so I had to introduce myself to them again so they know who I am. I have to say that people that I've worked with here, particularly the labor unions, have been very sensitive to that matter, and because there have been sacrifices made by all of us, personally and professionally, in order to make this deal happen. And we've worked on it in common, with a common goal, and with a great deal of vigor, because we believe in newspapers, both print and online, and we believe in the state of Maine. And otherwise, we wouldn't be here today. For my family, they are not in the business with me. My wife is, because she, along with me, actually, all of us are investors in this newspaper. But we've all been. There's two things that we have in common. All except for Meredith, who's 8, we have been in the media business, and we're not a family business, but we all have a lot of experience and a lot of passion for media. And so I wanted them with me here today, quite frankly, to share this moment. My wife, Deborah, actually ran a group of papers we owned in Texas. When I abandoned Texas and went to Pennsylvania to buy the newspapers that we owned there, and I have to report that it was under her leadership that we first made money after I had run it for about 6 years. But she's been very supportive, holding down things at our home in Pennsylvania while I've been here for 18 months. My daughter Meredith is not in the business, but she's been in the newspaper a number of times. Most recently, I wrote about her being the fastest girl in the 2nd grade class at her school. She was also the fastest 1st grade girl. My daughter Christina is, quite frankly, nationally recognized in the new media space, online. She's been on a number of television programs recently, and this will embarrass her, but she is editor-in-chief of TV Guide Online, and she is also the vice president of marketing. Both jobs, kind of an interesting combination of roles, editorial and business, for TV Guide Online. And she has been an advisor to me on this project, particularly as it relates to the future of online here, which we think is great. We'll be joined at some point in time by my son Rory, and Rory he worked in the newspaper business for Morris Communications for a number of years on the business side, and then he worked on the editorial side, and then went into the financial business, specializing in investments in media. So he knows a lot about it as well. He has been advising me on this deal as well, and in fact, is representing us, or is he out back?
He just walked
I
in.
think that's him.
Tell him to come in and sit down. He's been over in Central Maine, Waterville and Augusta for us today, putting the Connor name, at least with a face there today. So anyway, that's why they're here. It's really to give me the, you won't come in, okay. It's really to give me a chance publicly, and thank you for indulging me to do this, to thank my family for their support. It's been a very, very long, difficult process, and but one that we've all really believed in our hearts. And because of that, everybody's been willing to make the sacrifices we needed to make this happen. What I really have to say, I said in the paper this morning in my statement, we're not going to make any great promises. We think that we will rebuild these businesses. We think they have a great legacy, not only from Frank Blethyn, but going back to the Guy Gannett days. I knew Gene Hawley very well. I still know Matty Corson, have known them for a long, long time. Have known Frank Blethyn for a shorter period of time, but I respect what all those people have done with these newspapers and with their online products. And I think that we are very well positioned to take advantage of the great opportunities to build the largest audience we've ever had with a combination of print and online. And these newspapers have a great foundation, and we hope that we'll be able to make improvements. Time will tell, and we're not going to make any great promises at this point in time, other than the one I made this morning, which is there's one thing that really drives us, and it's customer service. And those customers start with our employees, our readers, and our advertisers. And we take the stand that the customer's always right. We want the people we work with to respect us and to like us and to be happy, quite frankly. And oftentimes in this business, as you know, you do things that don't make people happy. But I think overall, if you treat people well, if you are a great corporate citizen, which we will be, that is something I can promise you we will be. We will be a great corporate citizen in all of the cities where we publish papers. That means if somebody's looking for a sponsor, we're there. If somebody's looking for us to support a public cause, we're there. And with that commitment to the communities, we think will build the foundations that we need to earn the trust of our employees, our readers, and our advertisers. I'm going to, next people that I want to talk about is this. As you all might imagine, on any of these deals, they don't happen if you don't have the money. And it took me a long time, 1 year of one birthday and another one, to raise the money to complete this deal. But I talked to a very, very wealthy woman in Texas, where we used to live, about 6 months ago. And she said to me, "How are you doing with the local banks?" And I said, "Not that well." And she said, "Well, I want to tell you something. I've invested in a lot of businesses, but Rich, if you can't find a local bank to put their money in the deal for Maine newspapers, then you shouldn't put a dime of yours in either." And along came the Portland office of Citizens Bank, particularly Gene Hewlett, vice president at the bank, who reached out to us first and said, "We'd really like to talk to you about financing the purchase of these newspapers." And then she brought along with her Steve Lebelsic, who's a senior vice president and the manager of the bank. Gene is also a senior vice president as well. So I really cannot overstate how significant they have been in their work. It is a contrarian bet today for a bank to finance a newspaper company. But I think they know that we will not let them down.